Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
On a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. This is the YWCA Hour with your hosts, YWCA Executive Director Karen Bell Dancy and YWCA Associate Director Maisha Essex. Welcome in to the YWCA Hour.
Welcome, everyone, to the next installment of The W with Karen Bell Dancy and Maisha Essex. We have a special guest today with us in the studio, and we're so excited for this conversation. You know, we have been talking a lot lately about knowing your rights as a citizen of this community. And we've also talked a lot about the different laws and governance that helps to supposedly protect citizens. Sometimes there are some pieces of legislation that could be a little questionable about helping folks to understand what their rights are. So that's why we have Rob Rowan from the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights in to talk with us. Rob is a senior civil rights investigator with the Office for the City, and Rob's going to help us to understand what this all means when it comes to your rights.
Yes.
Welcome, Rob.
Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome, Rob. And Rob is actually, he's a special guest, but he's an extra
Very
special guest.
Yes.
Because we just realized this will be our 1 year
Anniversary.
So yay, Rob is a really special guest with us.
Yeah, congrats to you both.
Thank you.
This has been so great. And as Karen said, this year we have really, Rob, been focused on just local resources and really talking to our audience about how to get engaged locally, but again, trying to bring different resources to our audience who may not know what's out there in regards to supports that our community offers. So we're really excited to have you here again to talk about how your department supports our community. So can you tell us a little bit more about the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights?
Sure. So we are it's a civil rights agency. And what we do is on the investigative side of things, we investigate complaints of alleged discrimination within housing, employment, as well as public accommodations. And then we have a whole other side of our world where we do things like outreach work, where we go out to different community events and we just kind of talk to people about what's going on. What we do, kind of interesting about us is that we've been around since 1963. But if you ask really anybody who we are, most will say, I have no idea.
Exactly.
So we're here and we've been here for a while. But that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Okay. And so can you give people who may not know, as you said, specific examples of how you help? What does that mean?
Sure. So let's just talk housing for a minute. So, so if somebody's evicted or something bad happens to somebody and they feel like it was due to a protected class, be it their race or their sex or religion, something like that, we are an agency that folks can call and file legal complaints. We are what's kind of referred to as the administrative process kind of an agency. So we enforce administrative law, specifically our civil rights laws. So we're sort of like cops in that we're law enforcement. I just don't have a gun, you know, probably a good thing. So,
so yes, you're able to kind of enforce some of the laws and protections for people in certain areas. As you said, housing, what are the other areas? Employment, correct?
Also in employment. So if you're fired or reassigned or really if there are any kind of different terms and conditions within your employment, you know, such as like a better assignment, you know, if folks think that there's been a negative action taken against them due to, again, their protected class, they can call us, tell us about it. and we're neutral in our investigations. We don't represent any party, which is a common misconception, especially with landlords.
Sure.
So if folks want to file a complaint, we can kind of help them do that. But that kind of sort of ends the sort of, I guess, perception that we are on a side. So yeah, so folks will call, we can get a complaint up and running. And once we have a signed complaint, then we start the investigation and looking into the allegations.
Yes. So when you say protected classes, for those who do not know, what do you mean by protected classes?
Sure. So protected classes, they're a little bit different within housing than they are with something like employment or public accommodations. And we also have a couple little extra protected classes here in Lincoln specifically. So the big dogs are race, color, national origin, religion, and then there's sex, which includes sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, familial status. Locally, we have marital status as a protected class. And then within housing, the newest law that passed, source of income is now a protected class. And then with all of them, people are protected from retaliation. And retaliation is the way these specific laws view retaliation, and what we enforce and what we look into is if you were to file a complaint of some sort, or if you're involved. So if you file a complaint and you are a witness in the complaint, if something bad happens to you also because of you filing a complaint, that can be retaliation. And then if something happens to you as my witness, you can file a complaint, a retaliation complaint. Even if you don't feel like something bad happened because of your race or your sex or something like that, if you were just somebody that you spoke to me, something bad happened, and you call back and say, hey, I was fired for talking to you, then you can file a retaliation complaint.
Right. So what are the next steps after the complaint is filed and then the investigation ensues? Then what's the next step in the process?
Can we go to, because your job is the investigator.
Right.
So once you get a complaint as an investigator, what is the process?
So once we get a complaint, and I'll kind of take you through the whole thing.
Yeah, please.
And please know that every investigation is really different.
Sure.
But we do have main steps that we do have to follow to make sure that we conduct a thorough, exhaustive, and neutral investigation. So somebody files a complaint with our office. After that, what we do is we issue a serve to the respondent. In housing, it can be multiple respondents. In employment and public accommodations, it can only be one respondent. We can go into what's called vicarious liability if you want to, but I'm trying not to make people fall asleep. So, so folks file a complaint. We serve the respondent with a whole litany of requests that are all based on, whatever the complaint will be. So we ask them to not only respond to the allegations, but if within the allegations they talk about notices or emails or texts or communications or other people, we also ask for that kind of stuff sort of on the front end, so we can get sort of a jump start on the investigation, for lack of a better term. Once we get that, then we'll talk to the complainant who filed the complaint, and then we talk about whatever the response was from the respondent, as well as their evidence. They then provide us with their comments and things and stuff. And then after that, we usually will talk to the respondents, because most of the time respondents don't give us everything that we need, everything that we want.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing, really. It's a thing. And that's just part of the job. So we get all the things and stuff that we need. And then after that, after we get any additional information from the respondents, comparator evidence, which is very important, then we will kind of write up the investigation, for lack of a better term, and then we submit the case file up the chain, and it goes through a few different stopgaps. It'll go to my boss to review. If she thinks everything is there, it'll then go to our legal department for review. If our attorney, I won't say her name, but if she looks at it and she's like, everything's okay, then that gets sent over to the commissioners, which is our board, and they're the ones that actually make the determinations in the case. So a lot of times folks think I'm making the determination.
Right.
And the reason these stopgaps are here, and you both will enjoy this next part, it's to ensure that bias is filtered out as much as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So by the time it gets to a point of determining what happened, the commissioners are making their determination solely based on the evidence and not on like gut feelings or worldviews or anything like that.
Is there a hearing at any point?
Yes, so
Process?
they make their determinations at our monthly commission meeting, and that's
Okay.
usually the last Thursday of every month, assuming we have quorum. And a quorum for anybody watching is 5 people with our commission, so it's 51% plus. If we have quorum, they'll make their determinations. They talk about the case. It's all confidential at the meeting as well. It's public record, but no names are said or anything like that. And then they make a determination of either no reasonable cause that discrimination took place or reasonable cause that discrimination took place. If it goes no cause, that's the end of our involvement in the matter. If they go reasonable cause, then we try to settle cases. We could go to a public hearing. We could go to a civil action. It kind of depends on the seriousness of it. Because at that point, it's getting farther and farther past just allegations and more to, well, there's reasonable cause to think that discrimination took place. We need to keep going with this.
And I'm stuck on that reasonable cause
Mhm.
for discrimination.
Yeah.
Wow.
So reasonable cause to this well, the full line is we determine there's reasonable cause to believe that discrimination as alleged took place.
Okay.
So are the people who filed the complaint, when it gets past the commissioners, and if they say either yes, there is reasonable cause that discrimination happened here, are they then involved in the process for the reconciliation? Because I know you said like, oh, we may, go to a hearing. It may turn into something else in regards to like litigation or a suit or anything. Are the people who have been, in a sense, harmed or their rights violated, do they have a say in how it moves forward if you all say that, not you all, sorry, checks and balances, if the commissioners say that, yes, there are reasonable cause, or do they then just take it over? Or like they give it to the next entity and then they take it over?
Well, there's a lot of hands involved.
Yeah.
And so if the commissioners determine that there's reasonable cause in a case, it kind of depends on whether or not it's housing, employment, or public accommodations. So these cases are, I'm going to get a little detailed if we're cool with that.
That's
So,
okay. Yeah.
so we do the investigation, write up the case, send it to the commissioners. They determine that there's reasonable cause to believe that discrimination took place as alleged. Then what we do is we make further attempts to try to settle the case. I didn't mention this, but as the case from beginning to end goes, we're also having parallel conversations with mostly the complainant, depending on what they have to say, and the respondents on, okay, you were harmed, you allege that you've been harmed. What would make you feel whole again?
Okay.
And that's when they bring up their first offer of settlement. Usually they go, I don't know, I wasn't even thinking about that. And then I say, well, that's fine. Think about it. Talk to me again. And they come up with an offer. And so as we're working this investigation, we're also trying to settle the case. Sometimes we can settle cases before they go to determination. Sometimes talks break down, which is more common than anything. But sometimes there's actually conversation and a back and forth. Complainant wants $8 billion. Respondent will offer 500. So we're trying to get somewhere to, I'm just going to say reality. Okay.
Exactly.
Because I have a lot of funny conciliation stories. I had
Right.
one.
Tell them.
Well,
Yeah,
I had
sure
one
was.
complainant years ago send me an email, and she had something like 8 or 9 demands, and she called them demands. And the first one was requesting to have a building erected in her honor.
Seriously?
And that was just number one.
Okay.
There was
That
some.
was number one.
I think there was an $8 million figure in there as well.
Okay.
And
A little bit of financial compensation.
and again, because we don't represent anyone, I can only kind of corral that stuff so much. And I can really only kind of say things like, well, I understand you want a building erected in your honor. However, if this case were to go to in front of a judge, they're really only going to probably award you what you're out, and then maybe
Right.
some punitive damages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna, you're not going to get a building.
Because the thought is to try to make you whole
Yeah,
again.
That is right.
Yes,
That is right. So a little bit of a tangent there, but
Yeah.
still that's what it is. Most of the time complainants actually ask for reasonable amounts, a couple $1,000,
Yeah.
you know, give me a good reference on the next employer,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
simple things like
Yes.
that, some
Yes.
training.
Yeah.
The hardest thing to get out of respondents though is a letter of apology, which is
Oh,
very
wow. That
common.
is so interesting.
Yeah, which it makes sense because nobody's
They
gonna
don't
do that.
think,
Because
No.
well, they don't think
that-
they're wrong. Is that
that
what it is?
yeah, that's
Right.
like an admission of guilt and accountability.
Well, and it's kind of
So.
counterintuitive because they ask for that, and as part of the settlement, in the settlement agreement, it
Mhm.
says nobody's admitting to any fault here. So you know, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But you know,
to
whatever.
now demand the apology.
Yeah. So they ask for whatever they want, and then we talk to respondents. And then, you know, sometimes if we're kind of close to an agreement, when it goes to the determination, they'll say, well, let's just see what happens. Both parties will say things like that.
Mhm.
And if they go cause, back to your question, then what we do is we make further attempts. And usually at that point, there's a little bit more oomph behind that. Where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I know you didn't want to settle or pay up anything or admit fault or whatever,
Mhm.
but going through this investigation, a board, a legal commission has determined that it looks like there's reasonable cause to believe that discrimination took place. A lot of times that's when they throw their hands up and go, all right, let's talk.
Okay.
Mm.
And then hopefully we can do that. We get about 5% or so reasonable cause cases within a year,
Mhm.
which really isn't a lot. But
Mhm.
of those 5%, the vast majority settle.
Mhm.
Now, if they don't settle, in housing cases, we are required to move forward with what's called a public hearing. And that is kind of like court, but it's not court. What the commission does is we appoint a third-party attorney, usually kind of an attorney that's been practicing for a while,
Mhm.
and ideally has some type of experience in these types of laws.
Mhm.
They'll sit as the actual hearing officer or
Okay.
administrative law judge.
Mhm.
And then they essentially will rehear the case. They make their determination based on the facts of law.
Mhm.
They'll send us a recommendation. We will then send it back to our commissioners, who will either vote to uphold what they said.
Okay.
They sort of kind of can turn it down, but not really. They'll usually follow through and just say yes. And then there's usually a recommendation of some type of damages. And so the commission will essentially vote to uphold that. And then that's kind of it. Now, at any time in those types of scenarios, any party can elect civil action. And that's when you would actually go to a
Go
court
to
hearing.
civil court.
And a lot
And
of
then do you have to refile to go?
no,
Okay.
it just kind of it's just really a different room with
Okay.
a different person.
Mhm.
But the rules in court are different than the rules in a public hearing.
Right.
And most of the time, respondents, if they have an attorney, that attorney is more comfortable with courtroom proceedings versus administrative law proceedings, because they most of the time lawyers are in court, right? So they're better practiced at that. So they can elect to move into that. And if that's the case, it works the same way. It's just different rules. There's different rules of evidence involved. I won't go into that because that's attorney stuff, which, by the way, I'm not an attorney. So
Okay.
keep that in mind.
Right.
Do you see that happening more in cases involving housing or employment, or what kind of?
Really, it kind of goes across both.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen a public accommodations one go to a public hearing, and I've been doing this about almost 10 years.
Okay.
No, 8.
Interesting.
I celebrate 8 years in this work on Sunday.
What? You right after?
Okay,
Look at all
wow.
these
Yeah.
animals.
So,
Yes.
but with hearing or employment, excuse me, and housing, it's pretty close to the same. The difference, though, is that within housing, we have some work share agreements with some federal partners
Mhm.
that dictate that we must go to a public hearing. In employment, we don't have such an agreement. So in employment cases, not the city attorney personally, but the city attorney's office will make a determination whether or not there's going to be standing to move forward.
Okay.
And so I think I've seen one in all my time where they were like, nope, we're not going to do it.
Oh, okay. So do you have people who call your office and you're like, nope, that's not us?
Oh, every day.
Like, what do people they think I'm gonna call you? Well, because they're like, oh, no, my rights have been violated, and I'm gonna call. But you see that's really not protected. That's really not
on human rights.
Yeah. So because of our name, folks hear human rights and they're like, well, everything's a human right.
Yeah.
And my human rights were violated. And I'm calling LCHR because they're the Commission on Human Rights.
Yeah.
Well, it's misleading. I really kind of think we should have civil rights in our name. But that's not up to me, of course. But folks call us all the time.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what we do. When folks call in, we offer up technical assistance. So if they have questions about really anything that they want to talk about, and if you haven't figured it out yet, I love the sound of my own voice, so I'll just talk forever. And so
wow. We are going to keep you talking, Rob.
Okay.
At this point, we are going to take a break.
All right.
We are really learning a lot from Rob Rowan with the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights, possibly to become civil rights. We'll be back.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home.
Work. Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Nebraska football opens their season on Thursday, August 28th in Kansas City, and you can be a part of the best pregame tailgate party with Blur Events, live from Kauffman Stadium, home of the Royals. Doors open 4 hours before kickoff with a live DJ promoting interactive competitions and giveaways, tailgate games like cornhole, flip cup, and beer pong, access to ballpark concessions, and available air conditioning. Book your tickets today at blurevents.com/Kansas City and hang with 93.7 The Ticket on the scene prior to Nebraska versus Cincinnati on August 28th.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery and the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R. A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
It's loud. Thanks for sticking with us. Today, we are talking with Rob Rowan with the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights. And Rob has been filling us in on the process when there is a complaint from someone of a protected class. And so he's already shared with us about what it means to be part of a protected class and some of the kind of complaints that come through their office for investigation. Thanks again, Rob, for being here and helping our community to understand what are some of the protections and resources in place for them.
Yeah, so what we were talking about prior to going to break, sorry, we was having some technical difficulties. We are back. What we were talking about were, because of the name of the department, people may call up about certain issues that are just not really covered by that department. Can you give us some examples of common issues that people call up to have a complaint about or talk about that are not covered under that department that you might think are human rights?
Oh, sure. And it's not to say that if you have an issue, you can't call us. I mean, call us. That's why we're here. But, a lot of times folks will call up. A very common one is, hey, I was evicted, and I think it's due to my protected class or something like that. And so, the follow-up is, okay, tell me more. And they say, well, I haven't paid my rent in 6 months. Like, well, that's not a protected class.
Right.
Or I was fired because I told my boss to go, pound sand for. You can use your imagination of what would actually be said. And so things like that, it's like, well, of course you're going to probably face some discipline, but just because we can't directly help somebody doesn't mean we can't help kick them down the right path. So if they need rental assistance, we have a few remaining names that we can kind of, tell people about. If they have issues with something like pay discrepancies, but they're not alleging it's a protected class scenario, that would be a different governmental agency. There's still protections. We just aren't the ones.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think we have something like a 7-page document of different places that we refer people to. So yeah, again, just because we won't be able to get investigation up off the ground or something like that, doesn't mean that we can't help people get help.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is no matter what it is, just call. If you think there's
Yeah.
an issue
Right.
or
Yeah.
a problem, or if you feel like your rights were violated in regards to the 3 areas that you talked about, which was employment, housing, and then you said public accommodations,
Mhm.
to call, because it sounds like you all are willing to help, even if it's not coming out of your department. You're willing to kind of point them into the right direction, because you said, as you said, it could still be protected, just not under what you work with, the protections that you currently work with in your department.
Correct.
So
Give
how
us a
does
call.
so how does one get started with this? If they're like, hey, I think my rights have been violated, my protected rights in those 3 areas, how do they get started?
Same thing I would say in a bar fight. Google me.
Google me.
Yeah, just Google us. I
Okay.
get a little dyslexic with our actual office phone number, so
Yeah.
forgive
Okay.
me. I don't want to give out the wrong number, but if you just Google LCHR, Lincoln Commission on Human Rights, pops right up, and give us a call.
And so it just starts with a conversation, a call and a
That's
conversation.
how it starts. We also have an online form that you can go on if you're absolutely certain that it has something to do with a protected class. And the form kind of walks you through. It's a little wonky and clunky, but it does the job.
Yeah.
So you can do it online as well. But if you're curious, anybody out there in podcast land, just give us a call.
Good. Is there ever a backlog of investigations or cases or anything like that? Because you get so many people that probably want to make the complaints, but they'll just make the complaint at home or make the complaint to their friends or something, and not take the initial steps. And they'll say, well, government bureaucracy, they're really not going to do anything. And so, how do we motivate people to go ahead and take that step?
Well, people are people, and they're going to people, and that's fine. And we've all been discriminated against, at least in this room. I'm assuming you two have. I have as well. And it's kind of jarring, right? And you kind of don't know what to do with it all the time. Some folks are a little bit more bold, a little bit more brave, and they're like, I'm going to go fight the power.
Right.
Other folks are just, they kind of get beaten to their shell because they're just like, oh man, this again. So we don't kind of force anybody to do it. However, that said, you ask about a backlog. Yeah, business is booming. We do have a bit of a backlog. It's really not that bad. In my experience, there's a few folks in the queue, but it's not like thousands.
Okay.
But we're working about 25 to 30 cases at one time. And there's only 2 of us investigators. So we are a little bit stretched thin.
Right.
It is what it is. But because of our thoroughness and our exhaustiveness in our investigations, it does take a little bit longer than we all want.
I can appreciate that.
Well, and it's because we're, if you both file a complaint, I don't want to give either one more preference than the other, right? Like, no, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're going to get through it.
Okay.
So nobody is cutting any corners or anything like that. But
and it sounds like what we can motivate and encourage people in regards to reaching out is it's a conversation. It sounds like it's just a phone call and a conversation.
It is, and a lot of folks just call and they want to vent.
Yeah.
And I'm not a mental health practitioner, but
Right.
I've been doing it long enough. I know how to listen to people, and
Right.
at the end, the question is, do you want to file a complaint? And a lot of times they'll just say, no, I just needed to yell about this. Nothing's going to change. And I can understand where they're coming from. I'm not forcing anyone to file a complaint. But if they don't want to, okay. Now, that said, sometimes people will file complaints and they'll sign the complaint or the charge, and then they'll say, I don't want to do it. But by the time they've done that to me, I've gotten all the stuff back. And I look at the evidence and I think, we need to talk because there might be something here. And if they say, I don't want to do this anymore, we don't have to follow suit. If the commission feels like there's enough evidence to continue an investigation, and if the complainant doesn't want to, participate or anything like that, that's okay. I'm not forcing anyone. I really want them to, because I want to get their responses. But if I get evidence that it looks like there's still stuff going, we will continue an investigation.
And see, that was leading into my next question. Do you get a lot of citizens that have fear for retaliation?
Yeah.
Especially like in the work setting?
More in the work setting than in housing. Housing is a consideration for sure, but you know, it's scary, you know. And although retaliation is illegal, and I tell every complainant this, it doesn't keep people from doing it. You know,
True.
if you file a complaint and you're like, well, I was the only black woman there, I had less pay, I had less hours, I was on second shift for some reason, I complained about something, they yelled at me, terminated me, like all that stuff. Like, we want to look into that, because if that's what they're doing, and you're like, you know what, never mind, I'm moving back to my family, some other state or whatever, and poof, you disappear off the face of the planet. That's fine, but I still have your signed complaint, and I can still see what they're doing.
So once they sign off, you can still investigate.
I can, yeah. And we can also say, okay, we won't do it.
Yeah.
But we do have the ability to not only continue that, but we also have the ability to start up what we call director-initiated complaints. So if we're out in the world, you know, an example of one that we did some years back is black hair care products at certain stores. Let's just say certain stores. You know who you are.
Certain stores.
Somebody, you know, nobody did a complaint. One of us just happened to be at the store doing a thing, and we're like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Well, that's different and shouldn't be. So let's look into this.
Are you able to say what the difference was without saying the store?
Yeah, the difference was that the black hair care products were, in this case, there were two stores. One of them, they had them behind the counter in a cage.
And they were locked.
And it was only black hair care products.
Right.
And then the other one was in the main portion of the store of the hair stuff, but they were in a cage. Whereas Pantene Pro V was just haphazardly thrown about wherever they felt like they wanted to. And it's like, hey, guys.
So what happened with that?
What happened with that is these specific spots, they are no longer in cages, which is kind of a wild metaphor if you think about it.
So a citizen could, experiencing something like that, call in and alert you on that, and not necessarily that's their complaint. But now that would be an administrative.
Yeah.
It
So
could turn to, okay.
So in that particular situation, that was a public accommodations one, and that was also an anonymous caller. I mean, they gave me their name, but they didn't file the complaint. They were just like, hey, you guys might want to check this out.
Okay.
And again, we are kind of, I don't necessarily like to make this analogy too much, but we sort of are like the cops in that what we do as investigators and part of the investigative arm is we kind of police things just by existing in the world and looking around.
Right.
And if we see something, we can go to our director, and we have to have enough evidence to kind of get things going. And if she thinks thumbs up, yeah, let's look into it, then we can. So it's just like if a cop is rolling by and sees somebody, I don't know, rob somebody else, I'm sure maybe they'll stop. I don't know. Let's not talk about the cops, but
right.
But it's kind of like that.
Yes. Well, you know, a few years ago, because we're involved with so many different coalitions and, you know, helping the community that we serve. And we were part of a group working with tenants' rights and trying to put together a whole document on tenants' rights. And unfortunately, then the pandemic came in, and then that affected a lot of that. How does that kind of thing play into the investigations and the work that you're doing?
Like tenants' rights and stuff like that?
Yeah. When you have these groups that are, you know, pushing on these certain issues
I see.
and all of that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of where you get the difference between as an agency, as a person, right? But because I represent this very specific thing, I do have to be a little bit careful.
Okay.
Which is why you'll notice the complete lack of cussing right now. Because I'm on the clock. But so although, you know, there might be some kind of behind the scenes support, I guess, if you will, because you have to be kind of activist minded to do this kind of work. You just have to be.
I would imagine.
But as an agency, we are neutral. So we generally will fall back into, we're like that Homer meme when he like slides into the fence, the
Mhm.
grass fence. That's kind of like what we are. And it's not because we won't take action on things or whatever. We're neutral. And so we just can't do that. So sort of going into the source of income protection that has recently come up, which is now a new protected class in housing.
Yes.
And that's for things like housing choice vouchers, also known as Section 8, but it's also for alimony, child support, other lawful sources of income that are verifiable, but they might not be based from an employer. When they were really pushing forward for that and everything, we just kind of we just had to just kind of watch.
Okay.
Because you all are just enforcing policy.
We're just the enforcers.
You just enforce. You don't create the policy.
Nope, we
You
don't
just
create.
enforce those.
Nope.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And,
So
and I think that's so good that we get that explanation so folks understand you are non-judgmental.
right.
And so
Yes.
And that it's important to know too. It gets, I guess, frustrating sometimes, but
sure.
At this point in the game that I've been doing this, listen, I don't believe anything anyone says to me, like at all. I'll be like, okay, cool. What evidence you got that you were discriminated against? But same with landlords. Landlords will say, we didn't discriminate. And I'll go, okay, cool, prove it. And so, and because that's how the cases are determined anyway, I'm not doing anything wrong or nefarious. I'm actually doing a really good job because I need the evidence. Because without the evidence, nobody's going to make a determination, because there's folks that are discriminated against, absolutely. Those that are discriminating against folks, absolutely. But there are also folks that are either lying or their perception of the evidence is skewed, or because of where they're coming from. And this is all stuff we have to keep in mind, like trauma-informed interviewing, those kinds of like really deep dive into civil rights and things.
Yes.
We have to keep that stuff in mind, because although I might not necessarily think what they're saying is true, I can't think that way. I just have to get the full, whatever they're saying, get their evidence, and then same with the respondents, because there's a lot of good landlords. There's a lot of great employers.
That is true. We found that out during the source of income. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Rob Rowan with the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights.
Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone and Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln with more exciting news for area car buyers.
Charlie, it's just announced that Honda of Lincoln has won 3 of the Lincoln Journal-Star's Lincoln Choice Awards: Best New Car Dealer, Best Auto Repair, and Best Place to Get Your Oil Changed.
Wow, that's great, Andy. Anything else?
Yes, we were runner-up for Best Pre-Owned Dealer and Best Tire Dealer. A lot of people don't understand that we do sell tires here.
Very exciting, Andy. Why do you think your dealership is winning so many awards?
Charlie, we simply say it's the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business.
Looks like Honda of Lincoln is the great news headquarters for Lincoln.
Yes, and even all of Nebraska, we are also announcing that Honda of Lincoln's the only dealer in the state of Nebraska to win the prestigious Honda President's Award for 2024.
Honda of Lincoln, Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Be it around housing or other issues. And so we've been learning a lot about this resource that's right here within our community. Thanks again for being with us, Rob.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, Rob, you said something with the few minutes that we have left. You said something earlier that just stood out to me when Karen asked about the backlog. And you said, yes, business is booming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that just stuck out to me because we know what your business is, which is dealing with
Right.
complaints
Mm-hmm.
on human rights being violated or perceived to be violated. Is there a reason why business is booming at this point? Like, is it always booming? Has it started to change with different administrations, with different senators coming, policies being, made into law? Or why is business booming in this particular season?
Well, I think business is booming because we didn't properly punish the Confederacy, and we've been in a cold civil war since. And so this type of stuff, since a lot of it is based upon arbitrary, illogical things that are just kind of made up to put us all in little boxes to divide us, that's never gone away, and it's never been reckoned with. And so that's just the natural course of our lives in this country. And then with different administrations, yes, we'll see some spikes. Because of where we are, it's a lot like music. It's a lot like fashion. There's sort of a trickle effect where it comes from the coasts, and then we get, into the Midwest. I remember back in the day, I think I'm in between, maybe you too, but remember jellies that the girls used to wear.
Oh my God!
Remember those?
Jellies,
By the time they
yes.
got the look, you're looking at me.
No,
Okay.
well, because I know jelly beans as in the shoes.
Like the jelly shoes.
Yeah, jelly beans.
That's
Okay.
what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Okay.
The jellies.
Yeah, follow me.
Yes,
Follow me here.
yes.
So
I'm with you.
by the time the kids in my school were wearing them and they were popular on the East Coast, they started to kind of go away as well as the West Coast.
Because they realized they were hot and sweaty and made your feet hot.
Right, and then like
they
the-
grip.
Yeah, exactly. And those hypercolor shirts, and all that stuff.
Right.
We all thought we were so cool. Look how hot my above the waist is. Oh,
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Right.
But I use jokes because this is a very difficult world that I live in, and that's kind of my coping mechanism. But
yes.
in reality, though, these policies pass, and then they kind of make their way inward as folks kind of hear about them. So, yes, different administrations will cause different spikes, but it's not necessarily a conservative, Confederate leading type of administration that makes it tick up, because sometimes that'll make people afraid, and then the tick will go down. And if you have a more left-leaning progressive administration, sometimes it'll tick up because they feel like they have more protections to actually say something. So it's been kind of interesting, and it's taken almost a decade of me working in this work to really kind of see that kind of trend. But that baseline, we're always busy. As long as there's some type of funding, I will have a job until the day I die. So, which is sad.
It is, because people in the work that we do, we always say we want to work ourselves out of
for real.
work ourselves
Yes.
out of the job. When you're in a nonprofit and you're responding to a specific need, you want that lack of resource to go away. You want it to become where everybody has access to the resource, or they feel like their rights are being protected. And so it's just interesting, as you say, because of just the society and the world we live in. I mean, that is not even a possibility.
Right.
That it would go away, because then you would be asking somehow to clear out everybody's bias and structural bias and all those other things, or racism that is, structurally
It's been
sound. And
systemic
yeah.
throughout the history
Yeah.
of this nation.
What did Beyonce say about racism? You guys know this one?
What did she say?
She said that racism is so embedded in American culture that when you protest racism, people think you're protesting America.
Yeah. Well,
And it's like and nothing's hit the head on the nail harder than that. And she said that during COVID.
yeah.
But she's right.
Yes.
It is true, and it is right.
Wow.
Rob, I think we're going to bring you back for a part 2.
Exactly.
Rob is
All right.
is in our training, and there were a couple of things he said that alluded to, like when he said bias, like you all appreciate that, or when he talked about
right.
assumptions on us experiencing certain bias and racism, because we've talked about it in our class that we have with Rob. So I think we'll bring you back, Rob, because we have some
All
more
right.
conversations
Love
that we
to.
want to have with you.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
This has been awesome, Rob. As Maisha said, we have to bring you back. Stay tuned, folks, because we will let you know when we are bringing Rob back on. That will give you the opportunity to already have your questions in advance. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Karen Beldancy and Maisha Essex with the W. Have a great one.